Yeah. Ew. Let's see. Minor adjustments are in order before we start. And that was my mandatory stream test. I'm gonna lower this a little bit to maybe 8.6, or maybe that's too low. 7.7. Next, don't mind me. I am going to move over to this. You like that transition, huh? It was tough, huh? Shit was tough, right? Want to see it again? Look here. Look. Boom! Right, 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 right. Bam! It's tough, ain't it? Yeah, it's hard. I know. I know. I know. um, let's see. I need to figure out how to I need to figure out how to capture the audio through my headphones. Actually, hmm, better idea. Give me a second. Okay, so essentially what I did was cuz I want to be able to hear the game, Switch game. So I changed it up a little bit, moved the audio. I'm going to see how it sounds for you guys, and if it doesn't, oh, you can't hear the audio? Balls. Mm, let me see how I can fix it. Let me see if there's something I can do. No worries, no worries. Let's see. That or it's very low. No, you probably just can't hear it. No worries, no worries. I'll fix it. I'll do output. Go to like the title screen to test. All right, I'll do that in a second. Yeah, you guys won't be able to hear it. Okay, that's fine. Um, I'm gonna just go back, plug it back in. Okay. Um, which one do I need? This one. Okay. I don't need this one anymore. Can you hear my switch screen? Like, can you hear me moving around? Maybe I should like, what's a game with like a loud title screen? I don't have much inserted right now. I need a loud ad game. Hmm. You do? You hear it? All right, cool. Um, next, let me see. If this doubles the audio for you guys, then I just won't use it. Let's try this. This is the output. No, you guys can't hear that. That's kind of annoying. Whatever. It's better if you guys can hear it if I can't. That's cool. I'll spare myself the trouble. Which means now I don't need this one anymore. Anyways, maybe I'll just turn the game down like this. That's probably good enough for me. I gotta yawn first. Okay. I know this game was like really weird with its sound settings to where you had to like progress in the story to use them. So I'm thinking that this game is gonna be mad loud, like at the beginning, and I'll probably have to turn it down, like manually through OBS. But then once we get the audio settings, I think we'll fix it back. Right now I have it at about a, I have it at about a 16. I might go lower though, depending on how loud this game is. I do remember it being loud. Are we beating the whole game? That's the goal. The goal is to beat the game. Not in this sitting, obviously, but yeah. Yeah, the goal is to beat the game. Which means this is Sonic Frontiers filler. I'm gonna put this at 25. 20.5. Yeah, we're gonna play. It probably won't be as often as it will be for Frontiers and shit. Like this will be like a super side series, you know? This is like a big side series. So this shit is filler. Haven't replayed this game? Yeah. This is gonna be dope. It's gonna be really fun. Oh, I forgot to tell you, but I was talking to Mia yesterday, and she said on the Hollow Knight stream, I think the Discord audio like echoes. I don't know if you noticed that when you were watching. Yeah, she said the audio, not for your audio, but like for us, like in the call, like RAM and shit, it was echoing. Whenever you stream again, you might have to like, um, what's the word? You might have to like change some settings in there. Also, your game was really loud. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are easy fixes though. You can easily fix that shit. All right, here's the big like thing. I'm trying to see how loud this game is in comparison to my voice. So I'm gonna mute really quickly, but I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, it's like I thought. I remember this game being really loud. So it is just a touch loud, and I turned it down a little bit, which is why I'm yapping right now, so I can go back to testing, and then we can play once I get this fixed. It's a shame that Pokemon doesn't have like in-game audio adjustment, so I don't have to do this shit. But it's made by cavemen, so what can you do? Okay, it's sounding. Alright, right now, just a bit quiet. So I have it at a. I think I'm gonna put it at a 23. I'm gonna put the game at a 23. Test it one more time, and then we'll be good. Alright, we can play now. It was easy fix. Trying to adjust the numbers so it sounded like okay with my voice, because I talk kind of low, so I didn't want the game to be like overpowering my voice. But yeah, we're gonna what's the topic? What's the topic? What's up, gang? This isn't ZA, by the way. This is a different game. It's not Legends. This is a different game, This one's older, but I still wanted to play it because I've only replayed this game once. I've only replayed it once, and I didn't finish it because I had just other games I wanted to play at the time over this. But I think now is a good time to play it because what's the word? Now's a good time to play it because the game's getting like other shit down in the future, like maybe a few years. So I think it'll be cool to kind of refresh myself on Britain, on Pokemon Britain. This game's like biggest crime, or this series' biggest crime is still not having voice acting. Like, it makes it so like weird. They have this crowd and shit, nobody's talking. Only the Pokemon give voices. I need to play like Digimon, bro. That game looks so fun. But yeah, I think overall, I think I liked this region for the most part. It was okay. I know when like these games came out, Sword and Shield, people hated these joints. Like, they were like mad at trees or something, some shit that like didn't matter. When I thought the game was fine. This game has no voices. It's like mad annoying. It's not the worst, but like you notice it. But what was I saying? Dude, I wish the chat popped up on my display, so I don't have to manually look over. This is why Karan doesn't read his chat. He has to look over every time. She doesn't read it for him. Also, what was I gonna say? I'm just like kind of sort of I'm gonna read the dialogue in my head. When it's some important shit, I'll read it. But like I'm trying to focus on talking. What was I saying? I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. Playthrough's gonna be slightly different because I'm gonna switch my starter out for a different one that I have in Pokemon Home. So we're gonna pick the water one, but we're not gonna use the water one. You feel me? And then we're just gonna like fix some of these real quick. What else do I need? This is ass. Alright, cool. It's still so like all these settings and there's no audio settings. Well, not yet, anyways. Oh, you can do the spinning thing in this game, right? Do the spinning. Yeah, it's so crazy that they took that out. Spinning shit was goated. Anyways. My opinions of this game when it like first came out were like, it was fine, you know, like it felt inoffensive in my opinion. Like it didn't do anything particularly groundbreaking for me. nor did it do anything like particularly bad, in my opinion. It was like just very okay, which I guess to some I could see why that's kind of like not like a good thing, because this is like the first the first mainline game on like new hardware, not including Pokemon Let's Go, because that's like a side game, so I don't want to count that one. It's not really a new generation. It's still like Gen 7. It's just Kanto. But but yeah, this is like the first big console game, and like graphically, it's definitely like a step up over Sun and Moon, right? But it's definitely not in the ballpark of what fans at the time had hoped for, which is fair in hindsight, right? Especially because despite this game coming out over 5 years ago, graphically the Pokemon games haven't changed that much, right? Some would argue that they've gone down in quality, which I can agree with to a certain extent. I think the models themselves of the Pokemon have improved, especially with like Charizard and stuff. Like his newer model looks way better than the one that we have in this game, which is the Gen 6 model, but updated a little bit. But overall, I think some of the newer games kind of lose the vibrancy that this game had. This is a very colorful game, and as we play through it, we'll see like some more environments and shit and whatnot. And I don't know, this game is really colorful. Like I love the environments of this game. Like just looking around here, right? It's a lot of greens, right? A lot of these earthy tones, and they're really vibrant. Like they really stand out. And it's a shame that you don't really see areas like this in what's the word? It's a shame you don't see areas like this in ZA, right? Because I mean that game looks nice too, but I think it's really held back by the fact that it's still in the city, which is kind of a shame. Anyways, you're supposed to go all the way here to our rival's house. His name is Hop. We'll talk about him some more later. But welcome back, brother. I was just talking about how like graphically this game is like definitely a step up from Gen 7, but it definitely wasn't like what fans were expecting when they heard like a mainline Pokemon game was coming to like a non-handheld device, you know? Like art style wise and color wise, this game is great. Like I love the colors of this game. It's very vibrant and whatnot, lifelike, right? And you don't really see that in ZA, not because ZA is ugly, but because they're stuck in a city. So I think, I guess in hindsight, well maybe not hindsight's the right word, but just in retrospect, for ZA, not this game, it would have been nicer to see anywhere else except for Lumio City. Which is a shame, but what can you do, right? We're not here to talk about ZA. So after you talk to Hop here, he mentions his brother Leon, and Leon is like the champion, right? Every region has their champion and shit. And the champion's like the strongest trainer, basically. He's like the Pokemon president, kind of. And this guy, our rival, his older brother is the champion. He has a cool Charizard. Doesn't Mega Evolve though, so it's kind of whack. But it's aight. I do think it's sort of interesting that they show you the routes here, like this being the first route, but they don't show you any of the Pokemon here. I think it would have been really cool if we were able to see what we're going to get soon, you know, kind of put it in the new players' minds and whatnot. Because obviously you can't walk into here because you have no Pokemon, and Hop here will stop you if you try. I think it would have been nice to see like what this generation's new guys see, because technically the first Pokemon that you see in this game is this guy's Charizard. Which is fine, I mean, this is like a very popular Pokemon, but interesting to choose your newest generation and show off an old Pokemon first. If anything, it kind of makes me feel like maybe they weren't confident in their designs in this game. I don't want to see this shit. Then don't watch the stream, dumbass nigga. Anyways, yeah, it makes me feel that maybe they weren't like super confident in like the character designs or the Pokemon designs for this region, which is a shame because I think they're all really strong, and most of like fan reception of the designs for this game are mostly positive. Maybe I'm like overthinking it on why they choose to show this guy's Charizard first over anything else, but who knows? This game really needs voice acting. Like, if I had a big want for the next game, it would definitely be the voice acting. When you're playing on like a handheld device and whatnot, it's fine. You know, you don't think about it much because you can just read in your head and whatnot. But playing on a screen, whatnot, and more importantly, a console, you kind of feel it. Very noticeable. It makes the game feel a touch lazy, which is like a big complaint with the recent titles. Which I definitely agree with to an extent. Not to the same lengths that others do, but it's definitely something noticeable. We should do the voice acting. I did that last time. And then I got like tired. Like I started like my fucking voice started hurting and shit. I have to give everyone different voices, and it was way too much work. All right, so big decision for every Pokemon game is of course picking the guys, you know. And I'll let the cutscene play out. And then I'll give my thoughts on this batch of starters. You have to do the British voice accent too. Not everyone can be British. Only certain people can get a voice. I can't voice act everyone, bro. It's not gonna happen. It's too much work. 10 subs special. You gotta throw some shit on the grill. That's the special. You have to throw shit on the grill. We're waiting for you. We need a cooking with Ram. I'll pull up. Okay, so subbing right now. Have you not been subbed like ever? Can you lock in? Yo, unsub. The fuck? Fake ass man. No way we had you on the channel and you weren't even subbed. What? Anyways, so I'll talk about the starters. I'll go down the line, I guess, starting with the grass one. So originally, you're not coming back till December? Fuck. Okay, so first, Grookey, the grass type one. When I first played this game about five maybe so years ago, that was the one that I originally picked. And he's very solid, you know, he's a good Pokemon. And I do like his designs for the most part. I think the second stage of it is definitely the weakest. Your vacation got snatched? Fuck. But his middle stage is definitely the weakest of his line, which is a shame because I love the first and second one, and he performs pretty decently through the story. I don't think there was any point of the game where I felt like Grookey was a burden on my team. I won't be picking him this time because I already have my team in mind, and it doesn't involve either of these three. So next I'll talk about Sobble, the water type one. This is probably my least favorite one of these three guys. What can I say about this guy? Because I've only picked him for like a quarter of a playthrough before I stopped playing because I just wanted to do something else. And I don't mind his first stage. I do like, let me turn him around. Spin around, buddy. There you go. I do like his first stage, this one, and I kind of like the third, right? I'm gonna slime Kale out because of you. Reconsider. Reconsider, bro. But yeah, I don't mind his third stage. I like the concept of it. He's like a sniper, but I don't know. There's just something about this line that I just dislike. Maybe it's the typing because he's just pure water, and maybe like water dark would have been more interesting. But I get why he's not a water dark type. Maybe in retrospect, water steel or something. I don't know. He just needs something because he's very like uninteresting like when you're using him. Design wise, I think he's fine. Stat wise, he's okay. He's like kind of mediocre, but it's not bad. But he definitely needed something. This is like the least picked one of the three. And then lastly is the fire type one. Score Bunny is the most popular of the three and definitely the strongest usage wise. If I had to pick a favorite of them, it would probably use your words, bro. It'd probably be between this one, Score Bunny, or this one, Grookey. I remember when the game came out, it was like a big debate between Happy Birthday Goku's VA, Masako Nozawa, Happy Birthday game. But yeah, it was a big debate between grass and fire when this game came out. It was like really fun to see which side eventually won, and I believe it was the bunny. What can I say about Cinderace that I haven't? This Pokemon, these two, Grass and Fire, I'm having a look at each other. These two are both viable in a competitive setting. Not this guy, he's not very good. But these two are viable Pokemon, and you do see them quite often in singles, and you see Cinderace occasionally in doubles. They both do completely different things, and they're used in different ways. Grookey here is more used as a traditional wall breaker or like attacking Pokemon, right? And occasionally you'll see Cinderace, the full form of this guy, and he serves as more of a utility role with a bit of offense. So they're both really fun to use, but for the sake of team building and changing this guy's team at the end of the game, I'll be picking the water type. So depending on which of these three you pick, Leon, the big guy, his team changes to sort of counter you. And I'll be picking the water one, but I won't be using him. So this is the first and last time we'll be seeing this guy. I'm trying to do a lot of talking this playthrough to like work on my commentary stuff. So that's why I'm like trying to really get the yap muscles flowing. I don't mind Sobble. It's just that he's not that interesting to me. He's just not an interesting Pokemon, especially compared to the other two. The other two have like really interesting niches, and especially abilities. Like Libero is really cool, and Grookey's Grassy Terrain is really nice too. It's just that Sobble doesn't really get anything. It's just not that. It's not that. It's not uninteresting entirely. Like he has interesting uses, especially like when you're critical hit farming with Sniper. It's just that yeah, this game is really easy to talk off of. It's just that I don't know, he doesn't offer anything that's like, wow, I kind of want to use this Pokemon over the other two. So, depending on which one you pick, Leon, champion guy with the stupid cape, he'll pick the one that beats your guy, and then the rival, the little brother, will pick the one that's weaker to your Pokemon. This game is very tournament-centric. Throughout the whole game, basically, you are in a big old tournament to eventually fight this guy's Charizard. It's really cool. And you meet a lot of interesting characters, and I think the character designs of this game, especially with later characters we'll run into, are really cool, and they stand out to me a lot. Particularly the Psychic one and the Dark type one. I won't say their names yet, because I think it'll be cool to talk about them when they're on screen, but I do like them. So as mandatory of when you get a starter, you must, of course, battle them. It would have been really interesting if they had our first fight be up against Leon, but we don't get that. The first fight with Hop is pretty uneventful, as like tradition for most Pokemon games. Um, what can I say about like these particular fights? More so maybe about his character. Hop changes a lot as the series goes on, and he has like a bit of an arc that I won't touch on too much until we're actually seeing it happen on screen. But I think he's okay. He's definitely like hit or miss within the community. Some people really like Hop, and some people are more like negative towards him. I stand somewhere in the middle. I think he's one of the better rivals because well, we get to see him like kind of improve and change his team and whatnot. And he goes through a bunch of interesting things, and you don't really see that in other characters. I think in that regard, he definitely stands out, especially when you consider the other things late game that he does that we can't talk about yet because we're not on screen. But yeah, first fight is very simple. Neither Pokemon have any moves to use, so you kind of just run into the other guy until one of them falls over. This fight also kind of serves as like the type matchup tutorial, I guess, for lack of a better term. So of course when you get the new move, the game wants you to be inclined to click it. And when you do, you get like special dialogue from the rival. I remember this part being like a meme among the community because if it was contained in this specific interaction between your character and Hop, whenever he's a super effective move on him, it would have been fine. But that dialogue replays every time you hit him with a super effective move going forward for the first time. So it becomes like a bit redundant later and kind of funny. I'm not sure when they let you access Pokemon Home and shit, but when I can, I'll be switching my guy out. Oh yeah, so for this game it's a bit different with how challenging gym leaders works and whatnot. Since this game is very big on like tournaments and competitive stuff, they'll have trainers like enroll into a gym challenge, and once you beat the challenge, it's like then you can enter the tournament. So you can't really do it off rip. And more interestingly, you need like an endorsement letter to compete by an already established trainer. Getting endorsed by this guy with the stupid hat is a pretty big deal in the game, and a lot of characters will make note that you were endorsed by the champion. I think it's pretty cool. So, in this following part of the game, you get to meet the moving whiteboards. Oh, you're closing, huh? Haha. Imagine working on weekends, bro. So, this part of the game is a kind of a red herring for what we will see later, all the way in the post game. But I think it's really cool that they have an encounter like this so early in the game, because you don't see anything else like it in the rest of the series. It does help that the music is very, very strong in this game. All of the areas sound completely different from one another, and it's a real shame that you can't listen to the soundtrack anywhere, like on streaming. You have to go through YouTube. But take my word for it, this game's soundtrack is really great. Especially when you get to some of the later encounters of the game with the legendary Pokemon and some of the boss characters, like just other strong trainers you'll run into. think the game's OST definitely plays a lot into how like people remember it and like its overall perception among people who've played it. And I think this game's soundtrack is definitely one of its stronger points, if it has nothing else. I am going to change his moves around. We can see his nature too, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So, every Pokemon has a nature, and yeah, the soundtrack is really great. Every Pokemon has a nature, and the nature determines how good or bad a Pokemon is at. So, my guy here has a red in attack, which means he's better at physical attacks, and a blue in defense, which means he's worse at taking hits. Yeah, dude, this game was super fun. I remember doing what's it called? The raids and stuff way back. Super fun. But yeah, natures are cool. They're not too important in game. You don't have to worry about them that often. But if you're playing this competitively, the natures are very make or break. So this guy has a lonely nature, which affects his stats, as I mentioned earlier. Cool stuff. The more you get into Pokemon, the more you realize it's just a numbers game. So sometimes it's better to just click A and not worry about all that. Here's a Pokemon that we will be catching later. So to talk about this friend really quickly, I don't think I can catch him yet, right? Nah. To talk about this friend for a little bit, this is like kind of a traditional like first root bird Pokemon that you usually see. One of my favorite ones because of what he evolves into and just his theming and overall. He's a very common guy though. He's not very rare, but he's a very reliable bird. And we'll see him later. Not this specific one, but we'll get a different one. I believe the squirrel that we fought earlier and Rookie-Doo, the bird, are the only two encounters on this specific stretch of grass at this moment. So I don't think there's any other Pokemon to talk about. So as we progress in this area, I'm not sure if you guys can hear it or not, but there's like a certain howl that you kind of hear from a legendary Pokemon, whatnot. Of like, so like every game has a main legendary Pokemon, which we're about to do. They're usually on the box of the game, and there's a guy outside cutting grass very loudly. Usually, legendary Pokemon are very like substantial in nature. They carry a sort of grandioseness to them, and I think they do a pretty solid job in this game, all things considered. Design-wise and lore-wise, I think these are some of the more interesting, newer legendary Pokemon we've gotten. Not because they're fucking broken or anything. Well, they are. They're really strong, but I think how they're revealed to us and how they are treated by the other characters as this sort of mysterious entity that we don't even know is a Pokemon yet is very, very cool to me. And you don't see anything else like it for the rest of the series. Of course, some games have you meet the legendary Pokemon early, but it's just a rare instance to where everyone kind of knows of the existence of these Pokemon, but they're not sure how they are connected to the legend yet. Which you do learn how they are like linked, whatnot, just not yet though. And of course, since there are two versions of every Pokemon game, we get this version's dog, which is Zacian. I do like the other one too. I think Zamazenta is a cool dog, but I like the blue one more. So in this encounter, Zacian will not attack you, and you cannot attack it. So you kind of just stare at each other for a little while until he kicks you out. it's supposed to give you like this illusion effect of, oh, is this guy even really real or whatnot? Because when you talk about these Pokemon to later, later NPCs, they kind of question you on if you even saw anything or not. So only you and Hop know, for now. And then of course Zacian kicks you out, and you die, and that's the end of the game. So, to give a little more context on why our guy with the still stupid cape is very worried about us, this area is kind of like an off-limits section of the region. If you couldn't tell from all the fog and shit, not many people visit here, and it's kind of like a mysterious area where weird shit happens to people. So he's rightfully worried about why his little brother and his supposed best friend ran off here. And the reason why we were here is because this Wooloo ran into here and we were looking for him, which we didn't even find him. One thing I can give credit to this game is that it doesn't really drag its feet that often. It kind of gets right to it. Unfortunately, somebody's at my door, so I have to answer that shit. So you can like just look at these two for a while. Okay, we are back. It was just the group of hired assassins that I sent to kill Ramses. Nothing important. Where was I? Oh, man, I don't exactly remember what I was talking about before I got sidetracked by the door. But that's fine, there's not too much else to talk about for this area, so I'll kind of just jump through the dialogue. Oh man, excuse me. For the most part, I do remember this game's story a lot. At least the major points, and definitely the Mega Evolution. Not whoa. I was reading Corey's. I was double like multitasking because I was reading Corey's shit in chat. There's no megas in this game. There's a different gimmick. We'll talk about it later. But I definitely remember a lot of the story beats of this game, especially the major things and the bigger events that we run into. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk to your mom. But we'll talk about this game's story when it ramps up a little bit. As tradition with most Pokemon games, it's like a slow starter, and then mid-game, it kind of ramps up in what goes on. I really wish they wouldn't cut grass so loudly, but there's nothing I can do about it. I have to let them cut their grass. You should use Mega Lup on it here. I can't. I can't, bro. I don't even think Lup Bunny's in this game, is it? I don't even think that's a guy here. So the mother character usually doesn't play that important of a role in the games. They kind of serve as a checkpoint or an area to warp back to, I guess, or to like give your character some needed lore. So, the goal of this little adventure here to that roof with the purple to the right is to meet with the professor and hopefully get an endorsement letter from said professor. I think having to be endorsed to compete in tournaments is very interesting. Super unique. And personally, I don't mind it. But it makes me a bit curious about how like people who want to compete but can't get endorsed are like handled in this universe. Definitely not something you're supposed to worry about, but still interested. You fucking killed him, dumbass. We needed that guy. Fucking hell. Okay, well we have to find another one. Anyways, before Sobble did that stupid shit, yeah, it definitely makes me interested on how people who can't get endorsed are handled in this universe. I think if I hit him again, he'll die, so I'm just gonna throw some shit at him. I think it's really cool in this game that you can actually skip the catching tutorial if you catch something here. And you don't have to go through it later. I think this is the only game you can do that in. Nuzlocke rules no more in this route. Fuck. Fuck, bro. Reconsider. Anyways, I'm not sure if he was as strong as I needed him to be, but we got the guy we were looking for. So, as per tradition, we have to check his nature, and it's pretty good. So because he has a red, his SPDF is higher, and the blue, his special attack is lower, which Rookie D doesn't use his special attacking stat. So this is a nice and lucky encounter for us. Not that natures matter for endgame, but it is cool to have Pokemon that don't suck. I'm so used to like legends and stuff to where you can always see your party, but this game's not as convenient. And there's this type of shit too, where if you run into them, oh man, this game's mechanics are like, they're so traditional. There hasn't been a Pokemon game like this in a while, where like you run through grass, you run into some shit, which is kind of a shame. I don't mind these sort of mechanics. I think it makes for a certain charm that the newer games don't necessarily have. Especially the randomness of it all. I think running into a random encounter and not knowing what you're getting and then seeing that Pokemon is thrilling in a certain way. With the newer titles, you can always see what's in the grass, and the Pokemon will often roam way outside of their designated areas, and it makes it more, I guess, lifelike or believable, if you want to use that word. But there's definitely something charming about running through the grass and finding some random shit that you weren't expecting. What I can say though is that the newer method of encounters is much more convenient and time saving. So of course we're here to meet the professor and get our Pokédex and hopefully an endorsement letter. But unfortunately, the professor is not here. Instead, we are left with the professor's granddaughter, which I think she's a cool character. I like Sonia a lot. She's usually a positively received character among fans and whatnot. I think she's a very unique supporting character, and her journey isn't like the player character or the rivals. She has like a weird self-discovery thing going on, but it makes her memorable, and I think they do it fairly well in this game. So there's no harm there. These two characters, Leon and Sonia, have a bit of like a history with each other. It's implied that she was his rival, kind of, and they would compete with each other and stuff. Sonya, put it on ya, for sure. But yeah, for the most part, I like her. Her role in this game is very inoffensive, and her design is great. I love it. So no complaints there. She's a very trendy character, if you couldn't tell. I believe this game was the first one to introduce like phones as the Pokédex. Very personally, I don't care for the phones that much. I did kind of like seeing the unique design per region of the decks that you would get, but instead, they're all your cell phones now, which makes sense. You know, it's like a handy thing, but there's something very what's the word I'm looking for? There's something very comforting, maybe that's the word I want to use. There's something very comforting about seeing all the new designs and seeing what wacky ways they can make a tablet interesting and look different in comparison to the previous region's decks. Because this universe is so friendly, people will just give you shit. I think the goal, stream length-wise, is maybe to go for about an hour. I think an hour is pretty good. Or not an hour, sorry. About... Well, actually, yeah, maybe an hour. That doesn't hurt. So it's about 56 minutes right now, so I'll probably keep this one short. Not that I'm going to be done with streaming. I might just end up playing something else. But I do want to keep this series sort of commentary heavy, to where like I want to play along and give my thoughts and whatever insight that I know about this game as I go. Because I feel like I'm fairly knowledgeable about this game. It's not like this one is like a particular favorite of mine. It's just that I've played this one a whole bunch, so I'm very, very familiar with it. But yeah, 2-hour stream is good. Could be 2 hours. If it was, I'd have to play for one more hour of yapping. Oh, they're not here yet. That's fine. We'll talk about I didn't want to sit next to this guy. We'll talk about the DLC when we get there, and I think it's in the next zone. Since we have the Pokemon Center coming up, though, we will be saying goodbye to our Sabu, who has helped us out so far. This will give me a cool, like, opportunity, I guess, to talk about how Pokemon are handled online and how they are how they are transferred to other titles from previous games and even future games. But first, we have to talk about the mandatory Pokemon Center, in which I think the interior designs of the Pokemon Centers in this game is very nice. I feel like it's a thing that not too many people talk about, but I do like all the designs that they give the Pokemon Centers and how they find unique ways to arrange these three key things in different like fashions and whatnot. Anyways, this guy in particular, I think, teaches you move remembrances and nicknames and stuff. Previously, you'd have to find some old guy, and he would change your dude's nickname for you, but now he's in every Pokemon Center. And this guy is not the TM person, so I guess we'll talk about them later. The TMs are done differently in this game. There's like TRs. It's very weird. Anyway, we're gonna put him here, which means we're only left with our bird, of course. And then we are going to save and move a friend over. So, if we go to our Pokemon home and then load up this one, we can talk about some online systems, I guess. What can I say about Pokemon Home? I think it's a very nice, application, very useful, whatnot. But I do wish that, it was a bit more streamlined, maybe in use, and maybe more accessible. Especially with how you retrieve older Pokemon that are on handheld titles. A big thing about them is that if you have a Pokemon on your Nintendo 3DS or even your DS and you want to move them over, you unfortunately have to pay a subscription, which is very stupid. Personally, I think you should just be able to move Pokemon free of charge, but oh well. To be honest, I don't even remember this guy because I set up Pokemon Home so many years ago, so this is like a very this is almost new, you know? It's almost new to me. I don't even know this guy. I didn't even know he existed. I'm not sure what this guy's deal is, so I can't give like I can't give my super thoughts on this guy because I just met him. Or I have met him before, but I don't remember him. But, you know, he seems like a character. Maybe I should have logged in through my other profile and then moved it over, but I wasn't thinking about that. This worked, though. This is like cool improv. Hopefully it doesn't take very long to access. Okay. So, I don't have all of my dudes at all, so we'll have to move over to my actual shit. Let me think. You know, I actually may have to do it in reverse. I may have to switch to the other user, or like my main, and then switch to this account. So we're just gonna close and reopen this real quick, and then do it from this way. The Pokemon that I'm looking for is the one that I want to use as my starter instead of Sobble that we talked about 40 minutes ago. I have this weird thing that I do where I like to plan the Pokemon that I'm looking to use. I mostly do it as kind of a hobby. It's very easy for me to waste a lot of time while doing it. And sometimes I'll do it like before bed or whatnot, and it'll just like help me knock myself out. Team building is a very interesting piece of Pokemon, and it's definitely not for everyone, but I find myself enjoyed by it. So to talk about this shit real quick, even though it's not Sword and Shield, Pokemon Home is basically a bank to where you can take Pokemon from other games and put them in here and move them to other titles. So on this account, we see I have some random guys just hanging around here. I have an Eevee that I should probably use in a different game. He's shiny too. And a Ditto. Not these guys though. So these X's indicate that these Pokemon aren't from... well, they can't be traded into this game because they don't exist yet. So they have these little X's over. This is the guy we're looking for though. And we'll put our Sobble that we just got into... we'll put him into this game, and then in the future, I guess, if I want to use a Sobble, I'll know where to get one. This is a cool thing to show off though. I definitely wasn't planning to show off Pokemon Home, but it's a good time waster. So now that we have our guy moved over, if we go to this account, our Squirtle that we moved will be here. And he will be with us for the rest of the game. And I'm trying to think about how I want to order the playthrough, and I'm thinking that I'll do the base game up until the champion fight or the tournament, and then I'll do the first DLC, beat the tournament, and then do the second DLC. Excuse me. I think that'll be interesting. I don't think I've ever played the game in that way before, but anyways, here's our guy. Here is our Squirtle that we got from the Pokemon Bank. And if we check his nature, it is pretty mid. The special attack is nice, but the lowered speed definitely sucks. And he's got Rain Dish, which is kind of useless. So we traded our okay starter for a somewhat mid Squirtle, but that's fine. I like Squirtle, you know, he does his best. How do I move his moves around? I know it's with, like, this, yeah, cool. It's, like, different per every game, so it's, like, kind of weird, messing me up sometimes. Yeah, you can use the bank pretty early. Basically immediately, as soon as you can access a PC. So we have our guy sooner rather than later, which is great, because he's only level 5. It'd be kind of annoying if, like, the starter that we were already using was already vastly outscaling the Squirtle that we're picking up now. What's useful here? Probably this one. No Trico. I wanted to, and I'm thinking that maybe I save the Trico for, what's the game? Gen 9. I'm thinking I keep the Trico for Gen 9. I think that'll be cool too. Because, what's it called? There's like way more type variations in that game, and I think those support grass really well. And there's not that many Pokemon that kind of work well with Trico in this specific playthrough. Not that that's like necessary or anything, but I don't know. I just want to use him there. I haven't used a Skeptile in a very long time, so I'll look forward to seeing how he performs in Paldea. Anyways, trainer customization is a thing in this game. You can like make your person look however you want them to look. Before Gen 9, it was definitely like a bit skewed to where the female trainers would have all of the customization and the male trainers wouldn't have shit. But they kind of fixed that in Legends ZA, and now you can wear anything. So now every trainer is a femboy. Very cool stuff. I'm gonna wear like something blue. Yeah, something blue, and then like I'll probably leave that alone. I'm not feeling any of these. I do think it's really cool that that they carry this feature over from basically every game to where you can switch up how your guy looks. And I think in this game particularly, I think they do really well with it, especially with the stuff you get later. For now, we don't have much to access, but some of the things you can put on later and some of the hairstyles that you get are really nice. Here we get another mention of the gym challenge, in which Hop's goal is to kind of convince the professor to enroll him because Leon, his older brother, will not. I'm going into this specific house for a purposeful reason to talk about Sonia, the orange-haired girl that we ran into before. These particular trainers, for whatever reason, have dialogue about her, and it kind of gives some interesting context. So we get a mention here of their rivalry, and something between them happens. Unfortunately, we don't really get to know what happens between them, but it is something to think about between the two characters. They definitely have more to them going on than they show you. Now, since we've already caught a Pokemon here, when Leon inevitably stops us, and we will be able to skip the tutorial. And this is the only game that I know that the tutorial is skippable. I'm not sure why that, what's the reminder? I'm not sure why this is the only game where catching can be avoided, but I wish they would continue it. In the next game, Scarlet and Violet, there's also a catching tutorial, but that one's mandatory. Can't skip it. Nemona will show you how to catch Pokemon, and you have no choice. We're not here to talk about Gen 9, though. If we were, I would be a lot more scathing. I'd be a lot more scathing on that game. Because I'm not the biggest fan of that one, unfortunately. I think it's a... What's the proper word to talk about this in, like, the right fashion? It's a very lackluster title, I think. It doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, Gen 9 is definitely not not something that I fancy anymore. Which is a shame, because I think it had a lot of it has a lot of smaller things that I do like about it. Like, I do enjoy the Pokemon of Gen 9. I enjoy the story-ish to an extent. More so the later events that happened between the Professor and Arvin and whatnot. But I don't know. It just felt like a game that wasn't fully realized. So the reason why I'm fighting this random ass fox is because I'm trying to get my my bird Rikidi to to a higher level. I need him to be at least level 4. There's another rival fight coming up, and I'd rather him carry his weight than just be useless. Yeah, it definitely doesn't. That was a shit ton of XP. That was planned. I knew that. I knew it was gonna do that. Anyways, yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a newer generation title. Unfortunately, it's just the game really feels like it's missing something. And I'm not sure if the DLC ever improves on that, but it's definitely one of my least favorite Pokemon games. If not my least favorite, just in general. This is our first encounter with a rival. What can I say about these guys? Oh, not rival, sorry. A trainer. I do like the designs of the NPC trainers in this game. There's a whole bunch that we'll see as we play through it. Some of them are definitely better than others, but for the most part, they're pretty strong. I'm going to click withdraw here, so he doesn't fry my shit. So towards the beginning of the game, you'll usually see that this brand of trainer has like what you would consider like kind of casual or weaker Pokemon. You'll definitely see a lot of normal types and a lot of like bugs and whatnot from these type of trainers in the series. And as you progress, what's it called? As you progress, they'll obviously get like newer thingies. The fact that you have to pay extra for a better game is crazy. Definitely. It's very I don't know. It kind of feels like a slap in the face a little bit to me. That they acknowledge that the game definitely can be better, and they're only choosing to improve it after paywalling you, instead of just making a solid product from the get-go. Gen 9 does have, Gen 8 does have really good sprites. Like, the box sprites are really great. And they're all done for every Pokemon. They're all really nice. Not that I dislike the 3D models, or not the models, the little 2D artworks. Dude, you can't change your Pokemon from the whatever menu. You have to go into here every time. Not that I dislike the 2D artworks for Gen 9 and ZA. These 2D little pixel art thingies definitely have a certain charm to them. I don't think my guy has the right move yet to make this useful, so I might have just wasted my show. How much does that do? That's a lot. And that's not enough. This game definitely has like a certain charm to it. There's like so much there's like so many things in this game that even as like I'm playing it now that I've definitely, that shit did a fuck ton. What's wrong with that bird? That I've definitely like overlooked But now that I'm playing this again in retrospect, this game is definitely very charming. But maybe that's just nostalgia. Let's see. I only have one of these left. It's so weird that you have to avoid the Pokemon now, because if you touch them, you'll have to get into an encounter. I'm so used to newer games having it to where just running into them does like nothing for you. And in the newer games, the Pokemon obviously attack you and shit. It's weird being able to stand next to them without them clicking crunch or some shit. I don't think Chootle is a rock type just yet. Hopefully he doesn't kill my guy. And I probably should have switched. Yeah, I'll probably switch. That did a shit ton. I'm trying to think like what in particular I can say about these characters, because I kind of already talked about the trainer characters you'll see in this game. But this one's kind of like another brand of the other one that we ran into, to where they are just your first encounter with these kind of people, and as you change environments, their like their designs and whatnot changes to fit where they are, and you'll get different trainer classes, and it's really cool stuff. Again, I think the NPC designs in this game are very, very strong. And they are some of the more memorable looks. I would compare them to like XY. I think XY had amazing NPCs. I think after I clear out this area, I'll probably end it here for like the Sword and Shield stuff. Just because my voice is getting a little tired, and I feel like I've talked a lot, and I don't want to run out of things to talk about, and I'll definitely be able to give more commentary, maybe after a break, or maybe like tomorrow or something. What's the 10 sub special? The 10 sub special is Ram wants to throw you on the grill. That's the 10 sub special. And what made me want to play Sword and Shield? Just because. I'm using this as a way to practice giving commentary. So I decided I would use a game that I'm pretty familiar with, and that's very easy for me to talk about. I feel like this game isn't discussed a lot, not as much as other titles like Gen 5 or Gen 3. Those games are definitely the spotlight titles of discussions, which is a shame because I think this game has a lot to touch on. We'll get to it when we get to it. Now that we have a buffing move, our rookie D is looking pretty good. It's also nice that when you do use a buffing move in this game, it doesn't run out like it does in ZA. I know a big thing of controversy among some of the fans is XP share. I'm of the opinion, well, Want a seep? Oh, want to swap? Yeah, we can. I can swap with you after I do this area real quick. I don't mind. I'll hang out on the call. Definitely gonna rest my voice though. I can already feel myself getting like tired. Yeah. We can swap. We can swap. Just let me clear out this, and then I'll probably give my thoughts on this beginning portion of the game, and then I'll maybe talk about the wild area a little bit, or maybe I'll save the wild area for tomorrow because the wild area is kind of big. Definitely when you put it into context with how it evolves later into the series as almost a gameplay staple. A lot hold on. I needed water. A lot of what we see from future titles comes from this game. Specifically with Legends Arceus, continuing on to Scarlet and Violet, and lastly with ZA. This game is a very influential with how it handles future titles. I feel like so much... Hello, Yamper. I feel like so much came from this game that isn't really talked about enough. So, to go back to my XP share, a lot of people they didn't enjoy the fact that EXP share can't be turned off. I am of the opinion that I am fine with it as long as the game adjusts accordingly to your player character's level. Hello, Yamper. Which this game unfortunately does not do very well. I think it's very easy to become over leveled in this game, and that is because of a newly introduced item and a certain gameplay mechanic that we will talk about when we get there. But for now, let us see what Professor Magnolia and Leon have for us. Yeah, we do need blossoms, bro. So, to talk about Professor Magnolia really quickly, I feel like she's definitely one of the weaker professors. Like just in its entirety, I'd put her towards the bottom half of the list. And that's mostly because she doesn't really do much in this game, which is understandable because Sonia, the character we met earlier, her journey revolves more so around her dynamic with her grandmother and her relationships with Leon and other of the older cast that we will meet as we progress through it. It's interesting stuff, but I do feel because of Sonia's existence, Magnolia is a bit weaker, which is probably intentional in hindsight. It's not like you want this this older professor to steal the show from the character that you're supposed to get attached to. So here, as I mentioned earlier, we're getting... There's a setting for... Oh yeah, the stream cutting. I'm not sure why yours does that. I think that happened to me though, like once when I was playing Shadow. Like it cut out once. It didn't do it multiple times, but I don't know. Anyways, the reason why we're here is, of course, Hop wants to be endorsed, and Leon will not do it. So as a child, he goes to the next authority in law and hits his dance, and hopefully it convinces her. Hmm. So, the last thing we will be doing is battling our rival again, in which we will be getting an item after beating him. I do want to kind of walk around Magnolia's office and maybe talk about a few things in here, because this is one of the nicer homes in the game. It shows so much character here, and obviously Professor Magnolia has a traditional laboratory that we saw in the town prior, but it's nice to see a kind of an additional additional evidence that yes, this old lady really loves her plants. It's very nice in here. I remember when I first played it, I would like kind of look around up in here to see just how many she'd had. It wasn't for very long, but definitely a thing I did. And there are a ton. You can't go in this room. They are a ton, as you can see, and even more books up here. So this is not Professor Magnolia's room. This is her granddaughter Sonia's room. Just looking around like the displayed things and like just tapping the A button, whatnot, you kind of get additional insight on the characters. You can tell so much about these characters in the cast by just going into their room and seeing all these items and whatnot. And there's like there's tons of makeup here, and as you can see, the game mentions about how trendy they are, and it reinforces the fact that Sonia is a rather, trendy character, if you couldn't tell from her looks. And this little hairdryer and brush kind of gives us a little hint that maybe she's a touch messy. And then here's the bone for Yamper, as all dogs get. So, heading out and going into the battle with Hop. This one is more so your official first fight with your rival. Of course, there's the one in the tutorial where you both receive a starter Pokemon, but that one doesn't really count, right? This one's more so on even footing. By this point in the game, I would assume that you have more than one companion with you. So it'll be a proper 2-on-2 between you guys, with the goal in mind being to showcase our skills in a way that Leon cannot refuse saying no to us, and hopefully he will give us that endorsement that we need. It's very interesting how endorsements work. I feel like I've talked about this a few times already, but I wonder what counts as a valid endorsement, Could you get endorsed by another trainer who is already competing in the gym challenge, or do they already have to be a prominent figure in the community? The game will never tell you that because it hasn't thought that far, but it's interesting. It's interesting to think about, especially because there is another character that we will meet down the line, and his endorsement is a big part of his character. As I mentioned in the thoughts on Hop, I've given my thoughts to him earlier in the stream, but I can kind of reiterate some of my main points. I think he's definitely a underappreciated rival. I think because I don't want to talk about his story that we haven't seen yet. I'm kind of trying to, what's the word? I'm trying to give my thoughts about them as they come up in a more of an on-the-spot way. I feel like I'll get more like authentic opinions about me about him if you just ask me on the dime. But from what we've seen now, I think he's a very standard rival, which obviously that changes for the most. He's one of the more unique rivals of the series, especially with his developments and what we see him become towards the later half of the game. I do think it's a bit of a shame that not as many fans appreciate him, which hopefully that doesn't deter Nintendo from trying this style of rival again. This game is chock full of different types of You fucking bitch. This game is chocked full of different types of rivals and whatnot, and they all have completely different personalities, and they're all very, very memorable. I think the rivals in this game are some of the better ones of the series. So for the most part, I think Hop is a very fine rival. Not my favorite in the series, but definitely one of the stronger ones. And as I mentioned earlier, when we first encountered him, he keeps his little quirk of mentioning type matchups every time you hit him with super effective move. Very cool the first time, but quickly becomes redundant upon your third or fourth fight with him. And then his last Pokemon is Rookie, which unfortunately doesn't stay on his main team to the end. Shame, because, you know, Rookie is a really cool Pokemon. And it would have been cool to, like, fight his Corviknight with our Corviknight. Hopefully he goes down really easily, and I can just wrap this up in a nice, neat bow before my voice gives up. Upon beating Hop, his older brother Leon will be thoroughly convinced that we are ready for the gym challenge. So interesting that he doesn't want his younger brother to compete. They don't really elaborate on that too much, and I do want to talk about Leon and what I think of him, maybe in a more appropriate setting. As of now, we are still in the base game, and there's not too much to this guy that we know yet. We could have visited his room and furthermore Hop's room in the first portion of the game, but I wanted to save that for a bit later down the line, maybe towards the tournaments, or yeah, maybe towards the last tournament. I think it gives a lot of characterization to these two characters, and once we have some more context on these brothers, we'll be able to discuss them more in depth. For now, I'm trying to keep things very surface level. The last thing we will be talking about for this game stream, or this stream, is the region's mechanics. Are you going to play Digimon? Yep, I will play Digimon. The Dynamax mechanic, which they don't tell us about just yet, is it's very interesting. If I had to put it in a very light way, because we do learn about this little feature later down the line, I think it's very uninspired. I think, in my opinion, it definitely doesn't feel very it doesn't feel very grandiose as Mega Evolution, in my opinion. I would put it over the Z moves of Pokemon Sun and Moon, just gimmick-wise. I think there's a lot more you can get out of Dynamax, and there's a lot more player agency that you can earn from it, and how you choose to utilize your Pokemon for those three moves. It's just that, in comparison to what the previous generation offered 2 gens ago, XY, it's definitely not quite to that same caliber of quality. So here we get a little bit of insight between the relationship of Sonia and her grandmother. Um, Strangely enough, I'm not sure when the comic comes up, but I think it is made between. I think after we get the bands. With these, we'll be able to make our small Pokemon very big for 3 turns and do some other things. We can't use them for now, and they can only be used in very specific scenarios. And while for the most part, I think Dynamax is a bit uninspired, I will say that I think it is very memorable, especially with how it's handled in the gym battles. I think the gym battles of this game are easily some of the best in the series, and I guess the comment between the two didn't happen. Easily some of the best between the series, and they make the gyms like very very memorable, especially when you add on top of how the OST kind of plays with the pace of the fight. Makes it feel like a very big event, kind of. It's very fun. Do the thug shake? I can't. But for now, we will call it here, and maybe we'll come back later in the day or tomorrow. We'll talk some more Sword and Shield. I think I got to a good stopping point here, and my voice is getting fairly tired. We got the 2 Pokemon that we wanted to use so far. We have Squirtle, and then we have our Rookidee, who will soon be a Corvusquire in a few levels. But yeah, this is gonna be like a very very side series, so it probably won't be as consistent as say Sonic Frontiers or even anything else that I'm going to do. But I will be using this as a means of polishing my commentary and giving my thoughts on things as I'm playing them. Hopefully there will be visible improvement as I play this game, because this game is fairly long, so I mean we have all day, right? But yeah, for now, we'll call it here. I think Ram wants to stream in 30 minutes and Angel wants to stream, so those two can fight to the death about who gets to stream while I send reaction images. But yeah, take care, Blossoms. Let me hit a spin for y'all. It's not working. It's not spinning. There we go. Goodbye.